In the late 1600s, hidden deep among thick forests and misty hills, there was a small and quiet village called Ravenshire. The villagers were simple people. They worked in the fields, raised animals, and lived peaceful lives far away from the busy towns and kingdoms. But one winter, something strange began to happen. Every night, when the moon rose high above the dark forest, a mysterious shadow appeared near the old church at the edge of the village. No one knew where it came from. No one knew what it wanted. But everyone feared it. One cold evening, a farmer named Thomas Hale was walking home after working late in his fields. The wind blew softly through the trees, and the moonlight covered the narrow village road. As Thomas passed the old church, he suddenly stopped. Something moved near the stone wall. At first he thought it was just a tree branch moving in the wind. But then, the shadow moved again. Slowly, silently. It looked almost like a tall human figure, but darker than the night itself. Thomas felt a chill run down his spine. "Who's there?" he called out. But no one answered. The shadow simply disappeared into the darkness. Fear spreads in the village. The next morning, Thomas told the villagers what he had seen. Some people laughed and said it was just his imagination. But that same night, another villager saw the shadow. Then another. And another. Soon the entire village was talking about the shadow near the church. Children refused to walk outside after sunset. Farmers hurried home before the sky turned dark. Even the village priest began to worry. Something strange was happening in Ravenshire. The brave young boy. Among the villagers lived a curious 14-year-old boy named Samuel Carter. Samuel loved mysteries. While others were afraid of the shadow, Samuel wanted to discover the truth. One night, he decided to follow the shadow himself. Carrying a small lantern, Samuel quietly left his house after midnight. The village was silent. Only the wind and the distant hooting of owls could be heard. Slowly, Samuel walked toward the old church. The shadow appears. As Samuel approached the churchyard, his lantern light flickered. And then, he saw it, the shadow, standing near the old stone well beside the church. Tall, still, watching the village. Samuel's heart beat fast, but he forced himself to move closer. "Who are you?" Samuel asked. The shadow slowly turned. For a moment, Samuel thought he saw a human face hidden beneath a dark cloak. Then the figure quickly moved toward the forest behind the church. Samuel ran after it. The hidden secret. The shadow disappeared behind an old wooden shed near the forest. Samuel carefully walked around the shed and suddenly stopped. Behind the shed was a small hidden tunnel entrance in the ground. The tunnel looked old, like it had been built many years ago. Samuel realized something shocking. The shadow wasn't a ghost. It was a person using the tunnel to secretly enter the village at night. Samuel followed the tunnel carefully with his lantern. After several minutes, he reached the end. And there, in a small underground chamber, he found something surprising. A group of travelers and poor refugees were hiding there. The truth revealed. The tall shadow was actually a man named Edwin Blackwood. Edwin explained everything. Years ago, a war had destroyed many nearby towns. Edwin and several families had been secretly hiding in the forest, afraid of soldiers and thieves. At night, Edwin entered the village quietly to collect leftover food or water. He never meant to frighten anyone. He was only trying to help the families survive. The village learns the truth. The next morning, Samuel brought Edwin to the village and told everyone the truth. At first, the villagers were shocked. But when they heard Edwin's story and saw the hungry families hiding in the forest, their hearts softened. Instead of fear, the villagers chose kindness. They gave the refugees food, warm clothes, and shelter. Soon the mysterious shadow was no longer something to fear. Instead, Edwin became known as the man who protected the lost families in the forest. Ending. From that day forward, Ravensshire was no longer haunted by shadows. The villagers learned an important lesson. Sometimes the things we fear the most are simply people in need of help. And sometimes, courage, like Samuel's, can turn fear into understanding. And so, the story of the shadow that haunted the village became one of the most famous legends ever told in Ravensshire. a story not about ghosts, but about truth, courage, and kindness.